Welcome students under the initiative of Directorate of Higher Education, Government of Goa, titled Digital Integrated System for Holistic Teaching and Visual Orientation for Development of E-Content. In this module, I will be covering the European and the American style of management, which is part of the first unit of Introduction to Management in the subject General Management. The first topic that we will be covering is the European style of management, followed by the American style of management. On completion of this module, the students will be able to recognize what are the key features of the European and the American style of management. Let us begin with the European style of management. The first feature of the European style of management is the European style of management follows a more professional style of management. Now, we have to understand a key difference between the European style of management and the Japanese and the American style of management. Japan and the United States of America are separate countries, whereas Europe is a continent consisting of various countries such as England, Germany, France, Portugal, Spain, Russia, and so on. So, every European country has its own language, socio-economic and cultural background and traditions, which means that the management style of each of these European country is a reflection of not only its culture, but of the traditions and the language that that country speaks. Some of the key features that are seen in the European style of management. The European managers are considered to be more people-oriented managers in comparison to the American counterparts. There is more of involvement of government in the running of businesses that is seen in the European countries, which forms part of the style of management in the European style of management. European managers are said to be more humanistic in their approach to managers and their approach towards their employees. In the European style of management, it is seen that European managers prefer delegation of authority as compared to the American managers. Now, like I mentioned earlier, Europe is a continent that comprises of numerous countries. Countries such as France, Spain, Portugal, England, Russia, Germany, and each of these countries have their own culture, they have their own tradition, they speak their own language, and all these countries form part of the European Union. And as part of the European Union, these workers from all these countries are allowed to work in any country due to the less restriction of movement of labor within the European Union countries. Therefore, companies that are operating in Europe are said to have more diverse workforce, and as so these European managers are more capable in handling workforce diversity. There is a lot of involvement of employees in the decision making process under the European style of management. European managers prefer to not only involve employees in the decision making process, but they also negotiate with employees while decisions are taken, so that the opinions and the suggestions and the viewpoints of their subordinates are taken into consideration. In comparison to that, the American style of management is very unique. There is a big difference between the American style and the Japanese style of management. The American managers prefer a more individualistic approach to their style of management, which is very different from the Japanese style, which is more of a collective approach. Managerial decisions in the American style of management follows a more of a top to down approach of decision making, which is The managers take the decisions at the top level and they pass it on to the lower level managers for implementation purpose. In the American style, employees do not take any form of initiative in assisting the management. Here, employees do not take up any tasks unless and until they have to do it or they have been asked or assigned to do that particular task. In a big difference from the Japanese style of management and the American style of management. In the American style of management, there is no form of lifetime employment, mainly because Americans do not prefer to work in the same organization for the rest of their career. In the American style of management, information within the organization does not flow in all directions, which basically means orders flow from the top to bottom and outcomes or reports with regard to the decisions taken by the top level management flow from bottom to top. Employees strive for individual achievements and rewards, which is very different from the Japanese style of management, where there is more focus given on group achievements as compared to individual achievements. In the American style, the employees are not interested in group bonuses or group rewards. They are more interested in individual career advancement. They are interested in more of individual bonuses rather than group bonuses. There is more of individual work culture in the American firms. Employees prefer to work towards their own career development rather than the growth of the organization as a whole. In the American style, employees prefer close supervision of their work and are not interested in any form of empowerment. However, empowerment is a very key feature of the Japanese style of management. The American style of management follows a more mechanistic approach, or what we would call as use and throw policy. Under the use and throw policy, if an employee is not performing, then such an employee is immediately thrown out of the organization. So, as long as the employee is useful and is performing, he continues to work in a particular organization. The moment he does not perform or his performance drops, he is thrown out of the organization, which is very different from how the Japanese run their organization. In the Japanese management, employees that are found underperforming are sent for counseling and training to improve their productivity, and they are given several opportunities to improve their performance. The American style of management is more short term and pure business oriented management, which is very different from the Japanese style. The Japanese style is more of long term and they are more society and value and vision driven, whereas the American style of management is pure business, pure profit oriented as compared to the Japanese style. Here are my references. Thank you.